Hey, welcome everybody. This is Mark Dannenberg. This is the Q&A session for Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. And we're going to get right into it. So if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A chat box. The whole purpose of this Q&A is to allow you an opportunity to ask questions and continue to develop your skills with trading, continue to learn more about how to build a trading business and make the kind of money that you desire to earn. So our mantra is learn to trade, trade to earn. So we're here to teach, to motivate and inspire you to learn how to trade and then convert that knowledge into being able to earn the kind of money, as I mentioned, that you desire. So if you have questions about the adaptive entry system, which we use for identifying trends, I will talk a little bit tonight about the new Aurora system, which we will be releasing the first part of January, and talk a little bit about that. But if you have questions about the adaptive entry system, please present those. If you have questions about anything that you just didn't ask in the live trading room or didn't feel you knew how to present there, please bring that up. We provide futures trading education. We help you learn how to manage your risk and how to manage the rewards of trading futures. We provide a personal trading plan for you so you can track all of your personal profit performance. And we generally post our profit performance online for you to see how the adaptive entry system is performing. Starting in January, we're going to be posting the personal trading plan for the Aurora system. And of course, for those of you who like to trade options, we provide the Profit Builder Plus program for options education. I get questions quite a bit about what's coming next. What are we working on? Well, I mentioned the Aurora system. That's a primary focus of my team right now. And as I mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. I'm getting a lot of questions about Aurora, curious about how we're doing, how's it being developed and when it's going to be made available. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We are continuing to work on auto trading for futures trading, which would allow you to set up your trades to just trigger automatically. You could trade 23 hours a day using the what we will refer to as CycleBot, which is auto trading for futures. First thing we need to do is to perfect the Aurora system, which we're very, very close to having everything dialed in on that. And then you'd have the choice with CycleBot of trading the adaptive entry system signals and or the Aurora system signals. You first of all have to have a system that is a set of signals with alerts that CycleBot can recognize and then automatically take that signal and route the order in a matter of nanoseconds to your brokerage account. We're using Infinity Futures. So the CycleBot will send the order automatically to your account at Infinity Futures and put you into a trade and follow the same logic and rules to take you out of a trade that you would normally do if you were sitting there in front of your computer. And we also are going to be working towards setting up an options alert service. I've had several requests for an alert service on options, probably not going to include futures on an alert service. Futures, we're generally trading 3, 5, and 10-minute charts. On options, we're generally trading 30-minute charts. And so an options alert service is a little more practical because with a futures trade, there's frequently situations where we would be alerting out the trade, and by the time you actually receive the alert, even though it would be a matter of moments after we open the position, we could already be out of the position for a profit. So we're working on setting up the details for an options alert service. So let me know what kind of questions you have here. While I'm waiting on some questions, I'm going to pop over to our Aurora chart. And I'm just going to leave this on the screen and we'll chat a little bit about it. So Bob K has a question regarding auto trading. What size account will be recommended to start? The account size really won't change. The account size preferences and recommendations won't change with CycleBot from your manual trading. If you started with a $5,000 account, you're going to have a risk limit. You're going to have a certain amount of risk assigned to each trade. So that will automatically be set when each trade is triggered by CycleBot. You're going to have a risk limit set up with Infinity Futures, where if you hit a certain risk value, a certain loss amount in a day, in one single day, that you'll stop trading. Infinity will stop your account from trading. So all of those parameters will still remain the same as they are with your manual trading. Bob L is asking, been reviewing your futures education and the adaptive entry system education webinars from 2020. Have any entry, exit, or trade management rules evolved since then? Well, I'm going to say yes and no, Bob. The core of what we do is represented in the detail that we post online. We have pretty much the same criteria for getting into a trade as we've had before. None of the rules have changed in terms of priority and sequence of the signals. In terms of getting out of the trade, the rules haven't really changed with AES. You're basically setting your profit goals for 10 points and locking in 5 when it gets above 5. So some of those trades are going to end up taking you out for 10 points, and a lot of those trades are going to end up taking you out for 5 points. Now, the reason I say that there have been some changes is we are evolving into the Aurora system, and the adaptive entry system resides inside of Aurora. And what we've done is we've developed a set of signals. There's 2 primary signals that are being added, which are huge in terms of summarizing a variety of other indicators. And those signals do a couple of things for us. So this is specific to Aurora, which we're probably going to be releasing in the first part of January. What they do for us is they give us an opportunity to enter into a new position, frequently ahead of where you would normally be entering into an AES position. So you're getting a jump on the trend. That's the intention of those signals. Another thing that those signals will do for you is they will filter a lot of the chop out. Now, if you've been trading at all the last couple of days, yesterday, the majority of the day was a very, very tiny range of movement on the NASDAQ 100. Lots of chop back and forth across the moving averages, no real trending going on. So as we were trading the Aurora system yesterday, we were actually quite excited about how well the Aurora system filtered out trades that you would normally be taking within AES. And a lot of those trades ended up being small losses. A couple of them ended up being, a full 20-point stop out. But one of our desired intentions with Aurora and all of the work that we've done, continue to evolve our efforts in designing the software, is to manage through those very, very choppy periods and not feel like you just had your hat handed to you, which is not a lot of fun. It's not a lot of fun to have, a whole series of nice, smooth winning days, and then you have a day where it just seems like every single trade you take moves against you immediately. we are finding, we have found with Aurora that we filter out the vast majority of those trades. Today, earlier in the day, it was very tight. It was a very, very tight pattern, very choppy, no real trending movement earlier in the day. And we found the same thing. We were actually consistently positive today in terms of profit performance because we had a lot of trades that when the initial signal came on, we have some qualifiers for those signals that are now built into the rules for Aurora that told us not to take that trade. And in almost every case, it proved to be a good choice not to end up taking that trade. So we're going to be teaching all of that when we do the training for Aurora. The second thing that is changing, Bob, as we evolve into Aurora is with adaptive entry system, you can take a second blue bar, for example, and you can hold for the entirety of the trend. In the data that we've collected in all the time that we've been trading the adaptive entry system, you can see, we've showed this many times, you can see that by holding the full trend, it really doesn't perform very well. It could have a high performance rate on some days because you get some really nice trending days, but on a lot of days, it just doesn't perform very well. So we've always adopted a philosophy of taking the trade off after 10 points. Well, with Aurora, we have tweaked the not only the entry signals, but our exit rules around those specific signals to hold the trade longer. So we're seeing opportunities on trending periods to stay in a trade for an extended period of time, but we've got very finite rules about when you should exit the trade, and it's all built into the new set of signals that we have. This is a new signal set. This is actually called PBA, and these bars at the bottom are called CXA, and we'll explain all of that and we'll teach you how to use them if you decide that you want to adopt Aurora into your curriculum. So that's kind of a long way of answering that, Bob, but essentially the changes that we have contemplated and we have developed are incorporated into Aurora, because it's not, for us, it wasn't just as simple as taking the existing signals and changing a set of rules. There were flaws in taking that approach. For us, it was adding a variety of additional indicators and using those to help define a set of rules that would give you a higher profitability. Yet we didn't want to complicate things. We wanted to keep it fairly simple. We didn't want this chart, we didn't want our charts to be congested, with 15 different indicators. So we consolidated them into a single indicator. Well, two indicators. Each of these represent a set of signals, but we consolidated them into easy to read signals, easy to understand, just a simple block. And a blue block says, hey, we should be long here. A red block says we should be short here. And the space between the blocks is kind of a neutral zone. So we'll teach you how to interpret that. But we're also, instead of solely looking at a 5-minute chart, we're looking at 3 different time frames. We're looking at 10-minute, 5-minute, and 3 minutes. So what you see in front of you right here, the 3 different time periods, as well as the 2 additional indicators, which are summary of multiple indicators behind the scenes. This represents what we refer to as the Aurora system. It is a system approach to trading. And AES, which you see right here, right? You see those alerts right there. AES is embedded inside. It resides inside of Aurora. So we're not abandoning AES. We're not saying we're shifting from AES to an entirely separate system called Aurora. You'll have all of those. Within this system, There are so many opportunities to recognize what the market is doing and to take profits, or let me say this, to take trades presented to you. What we are going to do when we teach you the Aurora system is we're going to give you what we have evolved into as the three primary signals, the three most productive, based on our research and analysis, the three most productive signals within the Aurora system that you, I think, will be delighted with. So just a little context around this. Oh, by the way, good to see you here, Bob V. Everybody asking a question tonight or making comment is Bob. So Bob V, good to see you. Good to see you here tonight. And Bob L is saying, you got ahead of my question. I was asking within the context of AES, but appreciate the preview. So not specifically, Bob L, in the context of AES, have we made any changes? We've recognized what we felt was an opportunity to improve AES, and we have made those improvements within the context of what we now refer to as the Aurora system. So I think most of you are aware that 20 points is a pretty reasonable target for a lot of people on a daily basis. 20 points of profit on an average. 20 points of profit represents $400 of profit on a day per contract. And if you traded one contract, throughout the course of a 20 trading day month, that's about $8,000 a month. So you're approaching $100,000 a year, and you can easily do that with a $5,000 account. In the last year and a half, going on 2 years now, we've been trading and posting our performance results from AES on a personal trading plan. And you can see how the account has grown, and over the course of 12 months, how it produces some very solid profits. Now, the challenge for a trader is typically getting through the next hour or today, because if you're having a bad day, if you're having a challenging day, if you're having some losing trades, then it becomes less likely that you're going to be looking out on the horizon and stay focused on the fact that, over a 12-month period, you can go from 5,000 to 100,000 or 5,000 to 136,000, which was one of the growth accounts that we had. So we continue to support and promote the personal trading plan. Everything we do, we talk about the personal trading plan. And what I thought I'd do is to just share some initial numbers that we're seeing on the Aurora system on a personal trading plan. Before I get to that, let me go to Fergal's question. Fergal's saying, as regards the option alert service, how do you see this working out? We have a set number of alerts in the morning, or will it go out throughout the day? I see, Fergal, I can't predict exactly when the signals are going to come on. The signals that we will be alerting are going to be based on the Aurora system. And it's going to be based on one of the new signals, the PBA signal that is part of the Aurora system. And we are going to be narrowing down the stocks, indexes, and ETFs that we will be reviewing for alerts. But it's the same candidates that we've always looked at in our watch list. So Amazon, Bookings, Google, Netflix, Shopify, Tesla, those are going to be 6 of them. We got 6 others. 3 ETFs, which are SPY, IWM, and the Qs, and then 3 other stocks. So we will be looking for these throughout the day, and we will be sending out the alerts via our smartphone app. So once we've identified a trade, we will let you know the specifics as to what strike, what expiration we are trading, and what price we are getting into the trade for. And that that alert should come to your phone very quickly, like within seconds after we send out the alert. So we're going to be trading those. I'll just show you here real quick without even you having an understanding of Aurora yet. This is a short signal right here on bookings that came on at 9:30, 9:30 in the morning on November 10th. There's been nothing that has told us to take the trade off yet. Where did that trade come on? That trade came on at 26:58, say 26:58, 26:58, and still bookings is still selling off. And here we go. Here's a reverse indication that came on at 10 o'clock today. So it went from 26:58 to 23:78. So it's about 180 points. And we would be trading a 50 delta option, so an at the money option. So that's about a 90-point profit in that period of time. Trading one contract, one option contract represents 100 shares of stock. That's a $9,000 profit right there for a single trade. So we'll work out the details, Fergal, and we'll communicate it to everybody. We'll probably have a webinar to announce what we're going to be doing. Michael P is asking how many trades per day for Aurora. Michael, are you asking in the new alert service, or are you asking in our futures trading? I don't know how many trades we're going to be doing on the alert service. It depends on when the signals come on, and it also depends on how many other trades we have on at the time. But I would suspect that with the alert service, we're going to have 1 to 2 trades a day, somewhere around there. Within the trading the futures, trading the NASDAQ 100 futures, let me jump to our personal trading plan here. And this represents trading the Aurora system from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we're trading from 7 to 2. If you were in the Q&A 2 weeks ago, you heard me explain, Kristen was with me that evening, you heard me explain that we began a new personal trading plan on November 1st. We had accumulated quite a bit of data in terms of system performance on Aurora. And so we were at the point that we wanted to start a new personal trading plan and look out at some projections. So this is a personal trading plan based on the system performance, right? So this is the actual system performance from 7 to 2. The winning day average right now for 79 days. Now, we don't have a personal trading plan for 79 days because a lot of this was research that we were doing and the testing and validating. But the winning day average right now is 128 points a day. That's for our winning days. There have been 61 winning days out of 79 days. Now, our losing day average is 44 and a half, and there have been 18 losing days. Now, the one thing that might change these numbers is we made an adjustment in the past week. It was a minor adjustment. It was something that Kristen and I had been discussing. We thought that we were pretty well dialed in, but we noticed an opportunity to make one final adjustment in terms of our rule set and definition of when to enter a trade. And if you'll notice that started last week, and here is what the performance results were last week through today. And this is all based on, these are profit, these are dollars, these are profits. This is based on trading one contract. So our best performing day was actually Wednesday of last week. We did $5,630. I was trading a single contract. And we did 29 trades. So 29 total contracts, 29 trades, we generated $5,630. I think that's pretty rock solid. So we started that one little tweak last week, and what we are doing now is we are going back to the prior history, and we are evaluating the trades on those days to apply this one minor tweak that we just made, because that tweak seems to be very, very powerful. It seems to resolve an even greater degree of the choppy patterns that we've seen. And so far, we haven't had a losing day. We haven't had drawdowns, significant drawdowns during the day. Now, that's only 8 days of data that's based on that one tweak, but it's based on also 79 trading days of our evaluation and understanding how that one adjustment, it seemed at first like such a minor adjustment, but then as we started to go back and we did some sampling of prior days, so in addition to the last 8 days, we went back and selected the 4 largest losing days that we had previously had without that tweak, and we reevaluated those losing days, and each of those 4 largest losing days resulted in a winning day. A couple of them were small winning days, but they resulted in a winning day when we applied this one adjustment. So we've got 79 days of history. We've got 8 days plugged into the personal trading plan that represent the entirety of the system, as well as that one minor adjustment that we made last week. And we're going to work our way back through those 79 days and apply that adjustment. I will tell you that I did one of those days today. So after the market closed today, I just went back and evaluated, I think it was October 15th. And October 15th, in the absent this one minor tweak, it had ended up down about 70 points. It was down just over $1,400 for the day. When we applied this additional filter, the additional filter was intended to filter out some of the chop and not get into those situations where I took this trade and 3 minutes later, 5 minutes later, I took another trade in the opposite direction and I lost on both of them. It was intended to do that. So I went back and I reevaluated that day, and that particular day, and this is just anecdotal, just one example, that particular day ended up being, instead of being just over a $1,400 losing day, ended up being an $845 winning day. So we being Kristen and I, are diligently going back and just applying that one adjustment, that one tweak to the prior days, so that sometime in the next couple of weeks, hopefully we will have the entirety of the 79 days of history with the that one final adjustment built in. Yeah, Rob, this is all on NQ, so the NASDAQ 100 futures. This represents NASDAQ 100 futures. So it's $20 a point per contract. And these numbers right here in column S are dollar values. So on Friday, we made $5,335. Today, $2,430. Yesterday was only $740. Yesterday was a horrible, horrible choppy day. But we got to the end of the day and we were up $740. And it's because this one adjustment was filtering out the majority of the non-productive, choppy pattern that we saw yesterday. Bob L is saying, you mentioned team trading with Aurora. Are these results a team effort? How will an individual effort compare? These results are what we would refer to as a single trader results. These are, you trade a single dome, and much like with AES, if there's a conflict in a signal, meaning maybe you're long in one particular signal and then a short signal comes on, we will define for you what action to take or not take when that comes on. But this is a summary of 3 specific parts of the Aurora system, and all parts, it's rare, first of all, that there are overlaps to those 3 parts. And if there are, we'll have a set of rules for you, so you'll know what to do. But these 3 parts can all be traded by a single trader. And then with team trading, if you want to trade with someone, there are other parts to the system that you could incorporate into your trading also with a team member. Cliff is asking, is the adjustment filter too complicated to explain further? Is this an adjustment you request new cycle trading to make, or is the adjustment rules when you take the trades? The adjustment is in how we define the entry rules, Cliff. There's nothing that you will have to request. We're going to provide all of the training that's necessary for you to trade exactly the way we are trading the system. And then it's entirely up to you to choose how you want to trade, which trades you want to take. There's some very hardcore rules, and there are some that are suggestions, and we're going to provide guidance to you on what to do. But regardless, the system is set up to have some very, very powerful performance. Now, like with any other type of trading, I can't guarantee anything. But what I know is that I started the research and work on Aurora about a year ago. About 6 months ago, Kristen joined our team and started working with me on refining our approach. We don't ever take something that we've done for a short period of time and just throw it out there and hope it works. We do an extensive amount of research and testing and validating. And we, in the last month, have really evolved into, we're at the point where I think I could, well, I know I could teach and guide anyone through trading this system. So any of you who are interested are going to be able to take advantage of it if you choose to. With this, I want to go back here, with this personal trading plan, I mentioned 2 weeks ago that Kristen and I are being quite aggressive. I consider it to be aggressive. And when I say aggressive, I don't mean anything to do with the signals and the trades we're taking. What I mean is that we've built a personal trading plan where we are willing to trade up to a maximum of 15 contracts or more. I keep playing around with the numbers, anywhere from 10 contracts up to 30 contracts. And we started this account with $10,000. We're also using only 5% of the balance to allocate towards the margin requirement for the number of contracts we're trading. But the personal trading plan will graduate the number of contracts automatically for us. And what we're looking at is a 3-month period. So we're going from November 1st to the end of January. And we have a goal. And I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. We have a goal. And I want to be very clear that I'm not putting out there a commitment to any of you that I'm going to do this. I'm just saying it's a goal that Kristen and I have discussed. And we see that the numbers point to the likelihood that we could accomplish this. But we'd love to be able to produce $1 million of profit in a quarter, so in a 3-month period. So that's why we started our personal trading plan November 1st. Now this quarter might be a little challenging. It's not a calendar quarter, but this 3-month period might be a little more challenging for us because we're really just getting started with tracking the Aurora trades. And we've got 3 holiday weeks. We've got Thanksgiving week, we've got Christmas week, we've got New Year's week. And all 3 of those holiday weeks have historical experience that they're not generally very productive weeks. So putting it out there, and we are monitoring what our January 31st potential profit is right now. If we capped out at a maximum of 15 contracts, if we were able to do an average of 102.77 points a day on our winning days and lose 44.50 on our losing days, then our forecast at the end of January is just over $1 million. The 12-month forecast is, of course, a much bigger number than that. I could take this number down to 5 contracts a max. It still is a very solid number, having started with $10,000. Maybe you're someone who wants to only trade 2 contracts. That's a really strong number for a 3-month period of time, and certainly a really strong number for 12 months. So am I willing to trade up to 30 contracts? I haven't decided that yet. We're going to make those choices as we progress along, as we evolve into this. Right now, we have our targets set at a maximum of 15 contracts, and we'll see how we perform relative to the 102.77 average. The winning day average is 128. 80% of that is 102.77. So we're using the 80% of the full system. You get slippage, you step away, you miss a trade. Those are the realities of trading. So we're using an 80% of the full system winning day average. And also over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'll say 2 to 4 weeks, as we work our way back in the 79 days of history and modify the performance on those days based on this one additional rule, this one additional tweak that we are incorporating into our rule set, we will see what the winning system day average is. It may be more, it may be less. We'll see what the losing system day average is. It may be more, it may be less, but I'll be sharing sharing those values with you as we continue to do Q&As, and certainly once we get to a point where we're ready to launch the Aurora system, we're planning on doing training in the first couple of weeks of January. Joseph's asking, how's the AES system fared during the morning volatility at opening bell? Remember live trading a while back. Remember it being a challenge, lots of reversals. Well, let me show you a chart here. Not a lot has changed about that, Joe. If I go back and I look at 9:30 most any day, here's the opening bell right here, and you can see there was move up, large move down, this pretty strong choppy sideways, and then a big move down, and then full recovery, and we get into something that represents activity for the day. We see that most every day. We also see it frequently at 8:30. There's frequently news at 8:30 that moves the market. And so we've got a calendar of events, who's speaking, what type of data is being announced. And so we pay attention to that around the 8:30 timeframe also. Hey, Cliff, I don't see, yes, I have traded 30 contracts. I've traded as many as 100 contracts on NQ. 30 contracts with the type of volume that NQ pushes should not be an issue at all. But of course, if that's a concern of yours, you wouldn't want to trade 30 contracts. You would want to trade something that represents comfort level for you. Rob is saying, you mentioned being in sim mode for 3 months. I think that anywhere between 1 to 3 months of trading in sim is wise. The length of time you trade in sim should really be based on your personal comfort level. If you are in sim and you are consistently feeling confident in your understanding of the signals, when to get in, when to get out, when to reverse the trade, and you feel confident in that, and you're consistently finding yourself achieving profit and achieving your desired level of performance each day, then you may be willing to step into live trading. What you could do is to trade the micros, which would get you into live dollars, and they represent, I haven't traded the micros, only traded the minis, but they represent about 10% of the micros. So you have smaller absolute dollar risk, and it certainly have smaller gains, but it would be a good way for you to get yourself started. Yeah, one of the things about the morning volatility, Joe, I think you're right that the Aurora system helps to filter some of that. So some of the strongest volatility that we see, we are not in the middle of. Sometimes we are, and sometimes we lose out at that point in time. But we are not in the middle of it sometimes because we haven't gotten our signal clarification or our filters that are inherently part of the PBA and CXA Aurora system signals are keeping us out of the trade. All right, let me know, folks, if you have any other thoughts or questions. While I'm waiting here, I'm going to take a look at a couple of stocks. So Amazon's one of my favorites when it comes to the Aurora system. Now, I just, in no particular order, I'll just work my way backwards. We'd be short in Amazon right now as of 2:30 this afternoon. Most of the time, I'm not going to hold my options overnight, so I probably wouldn't take a trade that late in the day. But if you did, Amazon was at 35.61 when our entry bar opened, and an hour later it had traded down to 35.45. So you've got 16 points of profit on the underlying stock. With a 50 delta, you got about 8 points of profit. That's $800. Here's a signal to go long that came on at 9:30 this morning. You can see that there's really nothing to tell you to take that off until here. I would have wanted to take it off for a nice profit prior to taking it off for a loss or break even over here. And part of what we're going to be offering with the alert service is guidance on where we would set our good till canceled order to close. We have experience rate with Amazon. We kind of know what we would reasonably want to target as a profit on each of these trades. We don't want to stay in the trade forever and have a nice profit and then have it all evaporate away from us. So in this case, it looks like it was about 10 points of profit. 10 points of profit is pretty reasonable on Amazon. That requires a 20-point move on the underlying stock using a 50 delta. So got about 10 points of profit that came to you on that one before it would have reversed. You've got some other minor signals in here. There was a short trade here that you would have gotten into 35.47. Now, if you held overnight, the reversal really hurt you. But 35.47 at 2 o'clock, sorry, right here at 1:30 yesterday afternoon, 35.47. Let's see, it got down to 35.37. So we're getting to the last half hour of the market. Most likely I would have taken it off. Smaller profit than what I'm typically looking for, but it would have had 4 or 5 points of profit, $4 or $5 of profit. So you can scan back here and you can look at each of these signals and see how they line up to the movement. Here was a long signal, lines up nicely to the movement, 10 points of profit. Here's another long signal that came on 2 days ago at 9:30 in the morning. Just that bar actually moved almost 60 points. I'm just looking for it to move 20 points so I can grab 10 points of profit on the option. Here's another short, here's another short here. And the reason I'm just doing these quickly is because we've done this as a visual correlation where you can easily see on the blue bar, I'm long there, and I can see exactly what happened to the stock after that. On the red bar, I'm short there, meaning I'm buying to open a put, and I can see exactly what happened after that. And as you gain some of your own experience rate with trading the Aurora system, you'll track, and you might decide that you want to hold trades for 20 points of profit or some other value. You might want to hold longer than just the 10 points that we typically are looking for. There are also some ways to understand when this signal ends, when the signal stops printing, what action you could or should take. And we're going to be teaching that all as part of the Aurora system. But I'm excited. I'm really excited about the Aurora system as it pertains to options. And that's why we're going to do another alert service, because I can scan back here and I can see exactly when the signal came on and what happened after that signal came on. And I've been doing this for months now. Some of our coaching clients are actually trading Amazon and getting some experience rate with it. But you just see a visual correlation to the signal and the movement. And then you have something like this where you get in long and it doesn't move, it doesn't move, it doesn't move, it just doesn't move, it just doesn't go anywhere. And then you take yourself out and you lost a little bit there. This was an overnight hold. I would have taken it out before the day closed, but if you ended up holding overnight, you have a small loss, and then you make that up the next day. So there's Amazon that we're looking at. There's bookings. I already talked about that. There's Google. You can look at Google, the same type of correlation. And here we have a short. Here we have a long. That was a single bar long, and then it kind of drifted lower. Might have had a small loss on that trade. And then you make it up on the next trade going long. So there's really no difference here. If any of you, and I'd be curious to know if you if any of you are trading crypto, you can do the same thing with cryptocurrency. So let me just, where is my crypto here? Somebody, oh, there we go. There's my Bitcoin. These signals on the Aurora system are not unique to futures or options. Anything that's tradable, anything that has a pattern to it, you can identify when to get in and when to get out. So here's, your long signal on Bitcoin. Back here is when you should have sold your Bitcoin. Or if you want to trade Bitcoin short, here's when you would have been in it. So it's not unique, as I mentioned, to the futures or options. Okay, let's see here. Let me put this back on Aurora. Rob, we haven't priced the alert service yet. Some of you have asked about Aaron. Aaron will be back with us in 2 weeks, and Aaron's going to help us put together the alert service. A little research that she's going to be doing, and then she's going to be putting it together. We still have, I'm giving you kind of an advanced preview. We are intending to offer the alert service, but don't have it finalized yet. So we hope to do that in the next couple of months. So Drew is asking a question about Aurora relative to some prior programs that we've had, and how is Aurora different in terms of longer lasting and not going to be phased out like those were. So Drew, we really haven't phased out anything. When you mention Profit Builder is still our core options education program. We have a lot of people that go through the Profit Builder education program to learn how to trade options. Profit Accelerator, we actually at some point combined Profit Accelerator, which is an entirely separate program, into Profit Builder, and that's why we have Profit Builder Plus. We made it one comprehensive program for people to be able to trade. Now you're talking about education programs primarily, or follow along services. Aurora is not an education program. Aurora is not a follow along service. Aurora is the tool that you use to know when to get into your trade. It's one thing to take our Profit Builder Plus training program and understand how to trade diagonal spreads and calendar spreads and vertical spreads and puts and calls and how to roll them out and how to just trade and manage your options. But if you know all that and you don't have any understanding as to when to get into the program, when to get into the position, then your trading is not going to be very successful. We have, up until 2019, always used third-party software. We've used a variety of third-party software, and we've always built our indicators within that third-party software. And what I realized is that I was always seeking a better performing software. And we've traded, if you've been with us for an extensive period of time, we've traded a lot of different third-party softwares. So we put our heads together, and Craig, who's part of New Cycle Trading, joined our team, and along with Craig and my internal team, we started to examine, well, what is it that we really would like to trade ourselves? What signals would we want to see? What do we want those signals to offer us, and what do we want those signals to filter out? And we couldn't find a third-party software that we felt confident would do the things that we really wanted to do. It also was a goal of mine to make it just as simple as possible. I frankly don't want to sit here and look at 15 different indicators. I want a very easy, visual approach to taking my trades, and I want the majority of those indicators that we rely on to be summarized in a single indicator. So PBA is the summarization of a variety of indicators. I don't want to look at all the indicators. I don't want to stare at the indicators for 5-6 seconds as the bar opens to see if they're all aligned, see if it's telling me what I need it to tell me. I want the software, I want the technology to tell me that it's all aligned and I should go ahead and take that trade, feel comfortable taking that trade. So Aurora has been, for the last 2 years, we've been evolving to Aurora. We started out with profit flow analytics. That was version 1. Version 2 was the adaptive entry system, and like a lot of software, most software, they continue to add, improve, make better, enhance, and that's exactly what we've done. So adaptive entry system has been with us for a year and a half, 2 years, and we are just now at a point where we are at what I would define as version 3 for what New Cycle Trading is offering, and that will be the Aurora system. So all the other things that you're talking about, most of the education programs, you're trying to lump those into a software package where they are related only in that if you're going to go through the education program, you have to have a chart. You have to know when to get into the trade, and Aurora is that tool, I think. Now, if you want to go through the education program and learn how to trade options and advanced options and all those things, you want to learn how to trade futures, there's nothing at all that specifically ties you to trading only off of Aurora and taking your signals off of Aurora. You can use whatever software you choose. Maybe you've got some other software out there, another provider that you really prefer to use. You like their systems and their tools. You should trade that then. What we've done is we've created a tool that I know from my own experience trading is a very strongly profitable tool. And that's what I'm going to trade. And I'm going to make it available to anyone in our community of traders who would also like to take advantage of it. Rob, we're still working on some of the details in terms of pricing, in terms of, probably going to give you an incentive to get started with it so that you can experience it. So I'm going to just share this. I'm going to put myself out on a limb here. I've got nobody here to take control of me. tonight, so I'm just going to put it out on a limb, and this is being recorded, but I'm going to go out on a limb. But the way I think this is going to work is we're going to announce the release of Aurora probably in the last week of December. And somewhere in the first 2 weeks of January, we will have most likely a webinar or perhaps a couple or series of webinars. And we're going to space those webinars out in order to teach you, those of you who sign up for Aurora, teach you the mechanics of the system. Then the following day after that webinar, we will be guiding you through the trading of Aurora in the live trading room. So in that period of time, the live trading room will be reserved and exclusive for people who have Aurora, because we will be trading that. So there are some discussions that we're having about how we best do that. There's another scenario where we may invite everybody to come in for a day or two into the live trading room as Kristen and I trade through Aurora using NQ, and then invite you to sign up and join. But in those cases, we would restrict the training specifically to people who have signed up for the software. So Rob, our Aurora system and the adaptive entry system are actually built as proprietary signals on the TradingView platform. So TradingView offers a very robust background tool. We didn't have to recreate all of the mechanics that they already have in place, all of the data feeds, all of the other tools and indicators that are available for us. So we built our proprietary signals on the TradingView platform. And then when you sign up for our Aurora system or adaptive entry system, we give you authorized access to go in and download the proper signals. So we'll guide you through that at the time that you sign up. So I'm just curious. I'm just curious. I'm gonna show you the tracking tool that we have, since last week when we made the minor adjustment, and give you an idea of what the maximum drawdowns have been, because that's a valid question that most people ask. What can I expect in terms of a possible drawdown before I hit my profit stride? And what we're finding is the drawdowns are fairly small. Now, we're going to have more data, as I already explained. We're going back to 79 days so that we have this adjustment, this tweak that I mentioned, incorporated into all of our data. But the biggest drawdown we've had so far is just over 50 points. That was yesterday. That was a really, really challenging day. And we ended up finishing the day positive $740. So I'm curious. Now, I might be opening a can of worms here, but I'm curious, those of you who would like to add your 2 cents. If you looked at a system and you're a serious trader, well, you got to be a serious trader. You have to have a desire to really accomplish something with your trading. And you look at the maximum profits that we've seen each day, and then you look at where we finished each day, 7 to 2, $925, $115, $5,600, $4,600, $55, $3,100. What would you think a system like that is worth? What would you pay for a system like that? I'm not going to share it with you, but I already have an idea of where we're headed in terms of pricing for the system. And it's going to be very, very affordable for those of you who want to trade Aurora. But what would you consider to be a reasonable price point? And maybe nobody wants to chime in and share. Trust me, I'm not going to, if you give me a number that's greater than what I think we're going to charge, I'm not going to take it up to your number. Trust me. But just, in terms of value, I'm a business person. You guys are smart people, and you got to consider what you can make from the system. So far this week, we've made $6,300 for this week, one contract. Last week was $16,800. That's for last week. So, okay, I won't provide names here for this, but one person said 500 a month. Okay. One person said 200 a month. Okay. One person said $5,000. Yeah. So, there's quite a range of perceptions out there. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be 5,000, but I appreciate that input. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to be 200. We've invested way too much time, effort, and our own money in creating this. And we're going to offer a system that, even if it was only 50% of what we're seeing so far, it's going to be well worth the price. So I'm just curious. I'm always open-minded. Yeah, we're probably going to take something like that, Michael. Michael is suggesting maybe some sort of an introductory price, and I mentioned that we probably will do something that. And that's right, Jack. You'll have to gain some of your own experience rate with it. So we'll make it, I think, palatable for most everyone, and not everyone will want to sign up. But I look at this again as a business. So we don't have any other thoughts or comments out there. So I'll just say this to close out for this evening. I look at trading as a business. Each of you is a business owner. If someone came to me and said, hey, you can produce, like a couple $1,000s a week or $3,000 a week trading, you can produce $10,000 to $12,000 a month, but it's going to cost you $500 or $1,000, somewhere between $500 and $1,000 a month to accomplish that. Well, as a business person, as an investor, if I can validate that is real, that the profit production opportunity is real, then that's a no-brainer to me. I pay maybe $500 to $1,000 a month and make $10,000 to $12,000 a month or more. Some will make less. But even if I were to pay $500 to $1,000 a month and I made $5,000 a month, there's a value equation there that it sounds very positive to me, but you just have to decide for yourself. Each one of you will have to decide for yourselves whether or not there's a value equation there. Yeah, Jack, I'm very well aware of that, and that's exactly why every time we price something, it is intended to provide an opportunity for each of you to participate. Yeah, that's a whole different animal, Neil. So Neil's mentioning that when we get to the point where we offer CycleBot auto trading, and you can trade around the clock using the Aurora system, that there's a whole different value equation right there. So anyway, I appreciate your thoughts on all that. So I'm going to give it just one moment here, see if anybody has any last thoughts or questions. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and close out the session. All right, I don't see anything else here, folks. Sincerely appreciate all of you being here. I do sincerely appreciate the interest in Aurora. I've gotten a lot of questions about it. I get emails about it. And if I didn't respond to your email specifically, that's because I was planning on speaking about it a little bit more here. But we are very close to releasing it. And as I mentioned, you probably see the announcement right at the end of December. And all of our activity in terms of training and live trading support in the live trading room will take place in the first part of January. So something to look forward to. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great rest of your evening.